Well, let's get more on the impact of that ceasefire deal may have on Benjamin Netanyahu's government. Joining us from the Knesset in West Jerusalem is Ofer Cassif. He is a member of the Israeli Parliament. Really good to have you with us, Ofer. I should add that you are from the Hadash party, which is a left-wing party in Israeli politics. But can I start by getting your first impressions to the implementation of the first phase of this deal? What's your reaction to it?
Well, of course, we are very glad about the release of the hostages and that there is a change now. So it seems to be. We actually called for from day one. After the terrible massacre of October 7, we immediately said that there is no military solution and that the only way to save the Israeli hostages as well as the Palestinian people in Gaza and elsewhere is the road of peace. So it's proved to be right. And unfortunately, it took the Israeli government for political, cynical reasons, nothing to do with security, whatever, but only political interests of Netanyahu personally and messianic bigotry of those with him in the coalition. Those were and still are the only reasons that an agreement that would release the hostages, the prisoners, and bring and save lives of Palestinians and Israelis alike. All of that didn't happen for 15 months only because of the political, cynical interests and beliefs of this coalition. But once it arrived, we said very clearly, it's too little and too late, but better than nothing and never.
Of course, the political fallout from this ceasefire deal in Israel has been almost immediate. We saw the high-profile resignation of the extreme right-wing minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. He resigned as soon as the deal was implemented. The other far-right finance minister, Smotrich, is threatening to resign if the war on Gaza doesn't resume. What is the future of this rather fragile far-right coalition that Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to keep together?
First, I wish it is really fragile, I'm not very sure about it. You can see that those fascist thugs, Smotrich, Ben-Gvir and their allies, and some others within the government and the coalition are not interested in the lives of the Palestinians for sure, but neither of the Israelis, the hostages and the soldiers who are sent as a cannon fodder, nothing else. They don't care about it. It seems they believe that the blood of human beings is the red carpet of the Messiah. So I'm very, very worried, not to say terrified, about the future, because this government, especially Netanyahu, will do whatever they can in order to foil the continuation of the implementation of this agreement. Of course, they won't do that in a straightforward way that then the blame will be put on them. But they'll try, I'm pretty sure that they will try to do something in order to fail this agreement and at the same time put the responsibility on the Palestinian side. I'm terrified because if, alas, something like that happens, it means more blood is going to be spilled of Palestinians and Israelis, and more people are going to die, and the hostages are not going to be released, those who are still there, and still Palestinians who've been butchered in 15 months, in tens of thousands, are going to still be killed. That should be stopped. This agreement should be implemented fully, and thereafter, of course, for the benefit of both peoples of this land, we must move forward towards a just peace, which necessitates the total end of the occupation and the Palestinian liberation and in their own independent sovereign state in the territories that Israel occupied in June 1967. That's the only way to safeguard the future of the next generations, both Israelis and Palestinians. We must do everything to achieve that.
Yes, and that outcome referred to as the two-state solution in many governments, including the United States, which officially still has the two-state solution as its foreign policy when it comes to Israel and Palestine. But we are seeing that vision of a separate Palestinian state really go further and further into the distance, aren't we? Because not only are we seeing the Palestinian enclave of Gaza being attacked almost out of existence, but we are seeing the rise of illegal Israeli settler violence in the occupied West Bank and the expansion of illegal Israeli settlements in the West Bank that countries like the United States officially declare illegal but are doing nothing to stop Israel from expanding those settlements. So how far are we from achieving that two-state solution at this point in time?
Well, first of all, you are totally right. There is a huge gap, not to say contradiction, between the rhetoric of the American administration, mainly of Biden's, but not only, and the practice. Because if on the one hand, different American administrations, Biden's and else, as I said rhetorically, they were speaking about the two-state solution, but in practice did exactly the opposite. So part of this distant future of Palestinian liberation and statehood is to a great extent the guilt of the United States administration. And I surely hope that the next administration that goes into office today is going to change it for the benefit of the region, of all peoples in the region, and eventually of the world. As to the settlers, pogroms, and violence, I have to say something which I hope that many people hear and absorb. I've been appealing to the Attorney General in Israel, who is responsible for opening investigations against terrorist attacks, and those are terrorist attacks. What those settlers have been doing against innocent Palestinians in the West Bank are terror, nothing less. So I've been appealing to the Attorney General for almost 2 years now. The first letter I sent her regarding settlers' terror against Palestinians was sent in March 2023, exactly 2 years ago. Up till now, in 2 years, I haven't got even one a substantial reply. And nothing has been done in order to stop this terrorism. And that's the reason that it's on the rise. What we saw yesterday is only the tip of the iceberg. And it didn't begin on October 7th. It is true, as you said before, I think, or someone else in your program, justly said that since the massacre of October 7th, it's been more on the rise. But as I just said, the first letter I sent to the Attorney General and to the Defense Minister, then Gallant, is almost 2 years ago. And they haven't done anything in order to stop that. This terrorism has been done under the auspices of the occupation forces and the encouragement of some segments in this government. So it's very bleak.
Yes.
The future seems to be very bleak, but we have to stand and struggle against it. We do need your assistance, the international community assistance. One sentence, if you allow me to, just to conclude. You must understand that the enemy number one of the Israeli people is the Israeli government. So what I've been saying here and elsewhere is not against Israel. It's against the government of Israel that not only kills Palestinians, but also kills Israelis. And if we want to achieve justice and peace, we must be against this government. We do need your assistance as an international community. We are doomed without you.
And Ofer, it does seem that these illegal Israeli settlers who are committing these acts of violence and, according to many human rights organizations, are committing acts of murder with impunity are being emboldened by elements of the government, as you pointed out, including the far-right ministers who are currently in power, who are illegal settlers themselves. You expressed concern over the future of this ceasefire deal, and we're barely one day into that agreement. I'm wondering, do you believe that the Israeli far-right elements of the government, are they likely to do everything they can to continue to be a part of that coalition in order to hold on to that influence despite this agreement? Because members of the opposition like yourself, Yair Lapid and others have vowed to give Netanyahu the support to implement this deal in its entirety if the far right happen to ditch support. But how likely is it that they are going to be giving up the influence they have in this coalition?
Unfortunately, they are powerful. They are powerful because, and first and foremost, because Netanyahu, as I said before, is interested only in his own good. And he knows that once the government falls, and they apparently is not going to be re-elected, he knows that the path to prison is very short and very fast. He knows that it's just minutes and few inches from prison. That's the reason he clings to his office, to his position, because he knows that's the only way to stay out. So he's ready, and not only now, he's been ready to do crazy things, such as to nominate the thug that you can see on the screen now, the convicted terror supporter, the fascist racist Ben Gvir, who I have to say, for many years, he had a photo, on the wall in his living room of the mass murderer Baruch Goldstein, who massacred 29 Palestinians once they were praying in El Halil and Hebron. He sees him still as a hero, and he was nominated by Netanyahu to this very delicate position of the Minister of so-called National Security. Same about Smotrich. Smotrich is also a racist thug. I want everybody to know and remember that he said explicitly, not too many years ago, that he will never allow his wife to stay in the same room with a woman, with a Palestinian woman in hospital after giving birth. And again, that's just few tiny examples. Those are now powerful, and they are messianic bigots. I would say even psychopath, insane people, and they are ready to do whatever they can in order to realize their dream, which is in fact a nightmare. And Netanyahu is ready to go on with them, only to save his own position, his own office. So I'm very worried. We'll do our best to get rid of this criminal, bloody, fascist government, but unfortunately, we cannot do it by ourselves. And unfortunately, a great part of the so-called parliamentary opposition prefers to stand against us, the left, the Arab-Jewish partnership of Hadash. They often prefer to stand against us with the coalition instead of being with us against the coalition. So as I said, the future is very bleak, but I must be optimistic, and I am, because otherwise I won't struggle. I won't fight for justice. My comrades and friends and I will never surrender, and I hope we'll succeed. But again, without the international community's support, we are doomed.
Okay, Ofer Cassif, we will have to leave it there. Really, really good to get your thoughts. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and have a nice day.